Hey, welcome to another episode of MLM Renegade. You guys, today we're going to talk about the parable of the tortoise and the hare.
So here's the million-dollar question. How are network marketers like us, who've tried everything their upline ever suggested to be successful, and yet still struggled, who grew up with technology and aren't stuck in the 20th century, how are we supposed to grow our downlines and our bank accounts, and yet still have time for real life? My name is J.R. McKee. Join me as we explore how to use 21st century learning and technology to grow our downlines and build lasting wealth. Simply put, this is MLM done different. Welcome to MLM Renegade.
All right, guys, welcome back in. After doing a few the last couple of weeks, I've had some interviews, and I've had a lot of different ideas percolating around my head and trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And, I'm really excited. I've had some awesome success recently in my day job, and that always, helps to fuel me as I go through things. And it's got me really excited because, it gives me some opportunity, and really some opportunity of growing my business more than what I'm doing. And this weekend, I was trolling through some Twitter accounts, and there's one in particular that's like motivational quotes. And so from time to time, it'll put up different pictures and whatnot. And I found one that really I don't know why, but it spoke to me. Right, it's a picture of a turtle. It says, "Your speed doesn't matter. Forward is forward." So I want to talk about that a little bit today because really I'm excited. I think. And I think this is something that a lot of people need, and not a lot of people need to understand the difference between the tortoise and the hare. Now, you guys have all heard the old story, right? The tortoise takes off very methodical, very slow, moving forward, and he's moving in this race against the hare. And the hare thinks he's got the thing won from the beginning. And the hare races ahead, and then he goes and he screws off a little bit and figures something out over here. And then, oh, wait, I'm racing, and goes and gets back and keeps going. And then he gets caught off into some other thing. And ultimately, he looks up, and the tortoise is passing the finish line, and he hasn't gotten there yet. And he's like, oh, no, I can't believe I lost to this turtle who's moving so slow. And, and there's something to be said for speed, right? There's also something to be said for being methodical and putting your head down and doing the work. And I think a lot of times we get so caught up in what we're doing that we forget to do the work. We get the shiny object syndrome. We get the getting excited about something new and something flashy, and we don't work. And I think all too often, too many of us especially can get caught in this trap, and it really is a trap. And so I was thinking about that and trying to think about what I wanted to talk about. And, it takes me back, when I was in college, I thought I wanted to be an engineer. And so I took all of the pre-engineering classes. And some of those at school that I went to, they were physics courses. So I have all of the math and science for an engineering degree, and actually graduated in economics. And it's a funny story for a different day. But the point of it is I had to take Physics 121 and Physics 122. These classes were insane. Okay, I'm here to tell you, they are nuts. Okay, they're also some of the coolest classes I ever took. Let me tell you, they talk about a curve in college. Physics 121 didn't have a curve, but they did adjust the grading scale. 75 to 100 was an A, 50 to 75 was a B, and 25 to 50 was a C, and anything under 25 you failed. Okay, so you either got a C or you failed or better, right? And it blew my mind at the time because I remember going, and the physics exams, we would go and we'd sit in this testing center where we would have a Scantron sheet. You fill in little bubbles. Well, the problem with the physics exams is that it's like, how do you make a multiple choice test for a workout problem? Well, the physics teachers were really smart. And what they did is basically said, okay, for this question, you're going to fill out whatever the significant figure is, science speak there, right? Whatever, so it's the third significant digit. So you came out with this answer that was a decimal number. It could be like 8 decimal points long, and you had to give them the third number and fill that number in on Scantron, okay? So these tests were insanely long. I remember sitting for 6 hours of my life to take a midterm in this exam. I literally sat down at lunch and I came out and I ate dinner. It was nuts. And it happened all the time. And these tests were super hard. But one of the things that stuck with me the most from Physics 121 is the definition of velocity. Okay? You have speed. Speed is a number, right? For us, driving down the freeway, I'm driving 75 or 80 miles an hour, right? That's my speed. Well, velocity is a speed with a direction. Okay? It's a speed going somewhere. Okay? If you're on a boat, hopefully we got some boaters out there. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest. There's water everywhere, so I know plenty about boats, and it was a Navy town, so plenty of experience around the water. Well, so if you're in a boat and you don't have a rudder, what happens? Okay? If you don't have a rudder, you end up driving in circles. How'd you like that? You go in circles. Okay? And when you go in circles, you don't get anywhere. Now, you could be going 100 miles an hour in a giant circle, and you will never get anywhere. You're on the proverbial road to nowhere. But if you have a true velocity, if you have a speed combined with an actual direction, you will get somewhere. Now, here's the trick. The direction is so much more important than the speed. If you're going 100 miles an hour in a circle, or you're going 1 mile an hour in a straight line, which is going to get you to a destination, a true destination, faster? Okay? Obviously, it's going to be the straight line. Even if you're crawling in that straight line, you're gonna get somewhere. Velocity, the direction that you're going, is so much more important than the speed that you're getting there. Because we can go nowhere fast. I've done it many, many times in my life, in my career. I have gone nowhere and done it at a breakneck speed. Okay? Here's another thing that we learn in network marketing overall. That is that success loves speed. Who's ever heard that saying before? Success loves speed. Well, okay, I'm going to amend that, right? Success loves a high velocity, right? It loves speed because if you're not doing it with a direction, you're going to die. Your business is going to die. If you don't take the time to actually map out, plot out where you are actually going, you will get exactly where you plotted, which is nowhere. Okay? I want you guys to consume this and think about this. You can be the tortoise. Okay? You can be very methodical as you move through your steps and get to where you want to go. Now, getting there faster is a whole lot more fun, right? I mean, it's a lot more fun to drive a Corvette at 110 than it is to drive a Corvette at 10 miles an hour, unless maybe you're in a parade, right? But it's a whole lot more fun to do it fast. In network marketing and MLM, it can be a lot more fun to do it fast. When Heather and I began our network marketing journey this go around about 2 years ago now, we did it fast, and it was fun, and we had a blast doing it. But we had a direction. We had a clear point that we were going after. We had that pinnacle that we were shooting for. For us, it was actually earning a trip to South Africa. That was the big thing for us. We wanted to go to Africa. It was an amazing opportunity. And guess what? We had a direction. We took the velocity as quickly as we could go. And guess what? We got there. In fact, it was a year ago, like this past week actually, that we got home from there, and it was incredible. And the images and the stories popped up in my social media as like a reminder, which is equal parts awesome and remembering it, equal parts like twisting the knife that I'm not doing it again anytime soon. Because, well, that's not an opportunity right now, but I will go back. I will be there because ultimately that's what I want. I want that pinnacle on the mountain to go after. So whether you're climbing it one step at a time or you're running up the mountain, make sure that you have that pinnacle. When I climbed Mount Rainier about 3 years ago, it was an incredible opportunity to do it. And I learned something that they talk about, a special, like, it's called a breath step. And you take a step and you breathe. And you take a step and you breathe. And you go up the mountain, kind of in that plodding, take a breath for every single step that you do. But you keep moving forward, even when it's really steep. It was so steep, we had to have crampons attached to our boots. Now, a crampon, basically, it's like these It's almost like those old roller skates that you could wear with your shoes. You guys, maybe you remember those, where you could strap them on. Suddenly you had roller skates. They turned into your tennis shoes. Well, these were 2-inch metal spikes that attached to your boots so that you could walk on glaciers. We did that, and it was awesome. But here's the trick. You can't really run with those. Could you imagine stumbling and taking a 2-inch spike into the calf? No fun, okay? So you did it very methodically. And when you were breathing, you were doing this pressure breathing. So you're breathing out all of the air in your lungs and taking a deep breath. The reason you do that is we're doing this at like 12,000 feet of elevation. You can start to get elevation sickness if you do it wrong. Elevation sickness is evil. I'm here to tell you, elevation sickness sucks. Okay? It's like the worst of being dehydrated, sunburned, and sick all at once. All right? You just like start puking your guts out. You got a headache. Nothing good happens from it. The key to it is drinking lots of water and making sure that you're breathing right and you're pressure breathing. You're forcing that air out of your lungs and getting all that oxygen in. And so, again, let me wrap this back to your direction in your business. If you don't have a firm direction, if you don't know, if you're steering rudderless on the open ocean, you're going to go in circles and you're going to fail. Don't fail. Don't be rudderless. Go out there, pick your destination, pick a waypoint, go there, and then figure it out from there. Move to the next point beyond. You know, there's an old saying about sometimes you have to take a step into the darkness to see that there's light at the end of the tunnel. And this is something that I've felt and I've absorbed many times throughout my life, because I've been, there have been some really dark periods in my life. And during those times, the faith to move forward has been what's carried me. Having that faith and trusting in a power far higher than myself, and trusting in those around me so that I could actually take that next step that was fully in the dark, only to realize that I could see just a little bit further, and taking another step and seeing that I could see just a little bit further. Business, network marketing is like that for us. Sometimes we reach the end of our rope. It's hard. It's difficult. And if we don't go and take that next step and be willing to take that next step into the darkness, we'll never know how we can stretch ourselves. I'm listening to a book right now, Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Highly recommend. Fantastic book. Fantastic story overall. But he's a Navy SEAL. Okay, and I'm fascinated with the special operations community in the military. I have friends that are in it. I've read lots of books about it, and it just fascinates me. But to hear him, he was talking about getting a second wind. He was talking about Wednesday of Hell Week during BUDS, which is Basic Underwater Demolition SEAL Training. Basically, it's SEAL school that the Navy puts on. And they have Hell Week, which starts on Sunday and ends on Friday. It's 130 straight hours of basically sleep deprivation, massive physical activity, pain, suffering, you name it. And he was talking about on Wednesday, where basically, you're 90 hours into this, and your brain's starting to get really fatigued, and they're trying to work through it. And he basically talks about going and finding a second wind and basically grabbing that suffering and turning it into motivation so that his struggle is not one that was in vain. And it was incredibly inspiring. I highly recommend the book overall. But this, it gave me a new sense. It gave me my own second wind, because you know what? Being a dad, being a full-time employee, being an entrepreneur, all those things can be really hard, and balancing them, let's be honest, balancing doesn't happen. It's like juggling, right? You toss one up in the air and then you catch the other one, toss it up in the air and catch the other one, toss it up in the air. So you're going back and forth. There is no true balance. Okay? I'm reminded of, when I was a kid, I had one of those pogo balls. I don't know if you guys remember these, but basically it was like 2 soccer balls had been conjoined with a plastic plate around the middle. And the idea was you put your foot on top and you pinched the upper ball with your feet as you bounced on the lower ball on this plastic plate. So it was like a pogo stick, but with a ball. And there's no real balancing on that. You're always rocking forward and backward. In fact, you're really moving 360 degrees because of how you're balancing it. In fact, maybe if you've seen in a lot of gyms, they'll have those Bosu balls, which is like a half a a ball, a yoga ball, that's been put with a plastic plate underneath it, and then you're supposed to balance. And so I'll see people who are trying to balance on that. And the idea behind it is you always want to be you're never going to be in complete balance. You're just trying to balance, get that next ball into the air. And I feel that as my wife has been out of town and I've been handling a lot of domestic activities, it makes me very, very strong proponent of her, because she's amazing. The things that she puts up with are just blow my mind, and having to do them makes me very thankful for her. Well, I know that without her, she's my rudder. Okay, she is what gives me direction, and I'm infinitely grateful for her. She's an amazing person, an amazing woman, and this past week has been Mother's Day, and I feel even more humbled by her. But as a part of all of this, that direction, that rudder that she gives me this opportunity to really see my destination and see my goal and realize that I'm doing this for a lot more than just myself. This is for my family. This is for my future and the future that I get to have with her. So I want you guys to think about that. I want you to figure out where your rudder is. Who is your rudder? Who is helping you pick out those pinnacles to go after and then supporting you as you go? Sometimes I know that I get, I am not immune. In fact, I'm very, prone, frankly, to, getting a little emotional, getting a little bit beat up sometimes. That my day job and the career that I've chosen can do that to you. And having her to help steady me has been awesome. And so I find that ultimately I need to help other people become free. And when I can do that, I'm going to become free. And, Zig Ziglar said that we help ourselves by helping others. And there's nothing more correct. So you guys, I'm so grateful for you guys tuning in each week. Looking forward to doing some incredible new things here in the coming weeks. And looking forward to talking to you again next week. Bye-bye. Hey, thanks for listening, and please remember to subscribe. And if you loved us, leave us an awesome review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you consume your podcasts. Now, if you'd like some free training for your team on how your recruiting efforts can be bettered and brought into the 21st century, go to podcast.mlmrenegade.com and get your copy of the Renegade Recruiting Kickstarter.